What up, guys? Dreadshells here, and welcome back to World of Tanks. I hope all of you guys are doing awesome with whatever you're working on, either in World of Tanks or in real life. I was digging through some of my content, trying to think of something to do for a video today, and I was realizing that I haven't done a decision-making video in quite a while. So I sat down and dug through some of my games that I've had in the last week or two to see if I could find any game to talk about that would be interesting and informative. And I decided to pick this game that I had in my T49 on Karelia Assault Offense, which is a game mode that I don't show very much of. And also, the other reason that I wanted to use this replay is because I made several major important mistakes in this battle that probably would have cost the game, but fortunately our team was able to overcome them because the enemy team made greater mistakes than I did. I'm not a believer in the axiom of if it's stupid but it's if it's stupid but it works, it's not stupid. If it's stupid but it works, that only means that the other guy made an even worse decision than you did, right? Your decision was still poor, but luckily the other guy's was worse than yours. So I would rather be smart than lucky is basically how I like to think of it. So anyway, and also it's important, I think, to show games that aren't all sunshine and rainbows. Although the statistical outcome of this battle was pretty decent as far as me personally, it wasn't very well played throughout the game on my part. And I think that people in general, not just in computer games, but just people in general, you learn a lot better from your mistakes than your successes. And so it's really good for me personally as well to go back through these games and analyze my gameplay and see what I did wrong, or try to see what I did wrong. Of course, I don't always catch everything, of course. But I do my best to see if I made a mistake here and if I could have played it better. And that way, hopefully I will not eliminate that mistake in the future, but of course reduce the number of times that I do make it. So that's the goal. And hopefully you guys will be able to learn something from my mistakes in this game as well. So let's just get started. So first of all, tier 10 game, like I said before, the enemy team have 3 tier 10s and we have 2, which doesn't seem like a huge difference, but if you look there, they have an E100, IS-7, and 907, and we have an E5 and a Waffenträger E100, which means that we only have one of our top tiers being a frontline tank. Gonna pause the game here. This position I've been starting to use a lot more of on Karelia Assault Offense. That is, if I get the north number 3 spawn here, especially when there's a decent amount of enemy scouts on the enemy team here. There's 3, and also, of course, there's the 907, although it's probably unlikely that I'll see him really early, because I like. Usually enemy scouts, someone YOLOs across the swamp here in the open, gets really aggressive and tries to get up underneath this ridge here and dug into these rocks over here, for example. And they usually don't get very many productive spots or spotting damage for their team when they do that really aggressive and early, simply because the northern spawn can drive up these slopes here and get posted up here. Let's see if I can go into free cam here so you guys can see better. The northern spawn drives across here, and they get posted up on this ridge line here and in this ridge line here, and they can just shoot into this middle area really easy. And that's why it's so dangerous for tanks on Karelia Assault Defense, scout tanks that is. to rush across the swamp and basically expose themselves to all kinds of crossfire. Even the southern spawn here in what would that be, J3 and H3. These guys can shoot them as well. They can get up underneath the rock here and into cover, but basically once you go here, you're pinned and you cannot leave until the enemy team, your team has killed off one of the flanks. So it's really, really, really bad to get pinned as a scout and not have any options for you, as we will see later. Spoiler alert. So yeah, I like using, let's go out of free cam here. I like using this position right here, just to be slow and progressive, because even enemy scouts that YOLO and throw away their tanks eventually very early can also get you killed as well. So even though you're playing more conservatively or whatever. So it's very important to take the progression of the map area step by step. And we see already there that there's a AMX 1357. Gonna pause the game here and make a quick comment. The reason I fired there and shot him was because this tree slash bush in this position right here only gives me camo rating and covers my tank about from the angle of this rock across here to this this like a little arc right here from this rock to kind of the center ramp area right here. As soon as they get past where he is now, the rear of my tank will start to get exposed to him, and he will be able to spot me because this tree and this bush won't be covering all of my tank, right? So he'll be able to spot me. So the reason I shot him was because I was going to get spotted anyway. So I might as well have taken the initiative and gotten the jump on him and got the first shot off. Unfortunately, we did not pen him. Potentially, we could have one-shot him here with our 152 millimeter, but we didn't, unfortunately. However, we did get him tracked, so now he's immobilized out in the open, and hopefully the rest of my team will be able to support me. Also, when you're spotted in this location here, let's see if I can go to free cam again. When you're spotted in this location right here, you have to mitigate the potential sniper fire damage that you'll be taking. Basically, you have two angles that you need to worry about getting shot at. First of all, you need to worry about getting shot from this area right here in E3. It's really common for people to post up at this rock area right here because they can shoot across into this area and this area and this area. Also, you need to be worrying about getting shot at from the A-line approach into this A8 and A9 brawling area. That's very common for tanks to go in on Karelia assault game mode. So when you're spotted in this position and you cannot leave safely, I cannot run away back here like this because basically I would be exposing myself to fire from here. I would be giving them a shot or giving anyone sitting here a shot. So I have to stay here for now. So you have to be paying attention. If people start shooting at you, you got to be paying attention. Where are the shots coming in from? And if there's more shots coming in from a certain angle than the other angle, then of course you use the opposite side of the rock that those shots are coming in from. It's very important. A lot of times people try to stay into cover from all potential enemy fire, which is good if you can manage it, but most of the time it doesn't work like that, and you have to decide who you want to be able to have shots on you. So I would rather potentially get shot by one tank than three tanks, just as a hypothetical scenario. And not try to stay in cover from all four, and then of course being shot by all four, because I can't. There's some variants to that example, like if tanks have high alpha, like a Jagdpanzer 100 or a Object 704 or whatever, and then you have two lot lower tanks like two tier 8 mediums. I would rather get shot by the two tier 8 mediums, which would only do about 500 damage to me probably, and instead of getting shot at by the Object 704 or the Jagdpanzer 100, that would do anywhere from 750 to 1,000 damage to me. So it's little things like that that you need to be thinking about when you're spotted and getting exposed to sniper fire. And it will really dramatically increase your survival rate in battles, because it will decrease the average amount of damage that you take in a battle overall over time. So luckily we got some good support there from our team to kill off the enemy scout. And this Mutz here is being really super aggressive here. I'm going to pause the game again. This is really unusual for someone to be really aggressive here like this, but once again, just like the AMX 1357, you have to plan for the worst and hope for the best. So once again, just like I was pinned behind this rock while this AMX 1357 was alive, it's the same thing with this Mutz. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do to stay in cover from him. If I drive around this side of the rock here and sit here, because I'm afraid I'm going to get shot by the Mutz, I could potentially get shot by a lot of tanks sitting right here, okay? And I'm spotted, right? Because the Mutz is spotting me. So I don't want to do that. I would rather get shot by him once or twice even, hopefully not twice, but I would rather get shot by him than all the potential guns that might be sitting along this ridge. So just like the AMX 1357 situation just a second ago, you need to mitigate the potential damage that you would take. And we pinned him there. It's quite common to be able to pin the side of a Mutz with the T49 as long as you aim high enough above the tracks. I've done it pretty consistently. And so I sat behind the rock a few extra seconds after the Mutz died so I wouldn't get spotted. It's always important to be paying attention to enemy movement, not just enemy location. It's a really, really great tool. Of course, with this AMX 1390 here, I saw him directly in my sniper view, but you can even be paying attention to enemy movement on the minimap. Not just seeing, okay, these tanks are sitting here, but you can actually see how they're moving on the minimap and anticipate what the enemy player's intention is and where they're wanting to go next. You're not just fighting enemy tanks, you're fighting enemy players, right? So there's a psychological aspect to it that if you can predict where they're wanting to go next, you can better position yourself to either counter it or retreat so you don't die or take unnecessary damage. So right now this AMX 1390 is starting to YOLO across the center swamp area again, just like this AMX the 1357 did. And because I have snipers lined up here on top of the donut, this SB1C and this T10, I want to be able to make this guy pay for crossing the field, right? When an enemy attempts to take control of a position on the map, right? If they're trying to take over territory, you want them to pay as much as possible, either in hit points or in tanks lost. You don't want to give them an area of the map for free, basically. If they're going to cross a certain angle, make sure that you're in a position to shoot them so they don't get their full health, and then they have an advantage of you, not only in angle, but also in HP. And we get quite unlucky there that we didn't pen the front of him, unfortunately. But once again, just like in the AMX 1357, we got him tracked out in the open, right? And one of our team was able to put another shot into him. I think it was probably one of the IS-3s. And so right now, once again, I am using the cover of this rock to keep me safe from sniper fire in front of me. Gonna pause the game here again. Now that all the early aggressive players have died that have tried to rush and be really aggressive here in the middle of the swamp area, now I can move up. Of course, this is all game dependent, right? In this particular game, it happened to work out this way because there's 3 enemy scouts and there's a couple of mediums, and I'm bottom tier, although you know, there's not that many tier 10s, of course. But the potential of amount of damage that I could take for me being aggressive, a perfect example is how much damage they took, right? So if I was that aggressive as they were, and my team was not set up to support me, I would have taken as much damage as they would have, and or died just like they did. So of course, in other matchups, when you're like the only scout, for instance, or you're really high tier, you can be really aggressive right away and get up underneath this ridge line and either brawl out any other enemy scouts, or you won't have the area contested at all because you're the fastest tank, which is really nice, of course. So now that all these guys have died, now I can move safely across up underneath this ridge line. If anybody's sitting along this ridge line here, you probably will still get spotted crossing here, but the goal is to not get spotted until you're almost underneath the ridge anyway, right? And it's too late for them to react and to aim their guns, so you can get into cover safely before they start shooting you. So we know that an AMX 5100 was in front of us, and he was shooting at our IS-3s while the enemy mutts had YOLO'd across earlier, so he might be on a reload right now. So I'm doing a quick peek here just to see if I can find any intel on any... I'm going to pause the game here and see if I can go into free cam again. Okay. It's very, very, very common for... enemy snipers to sit in this area right here. Let's see if I can get across here. It's very common for them to sit on this rock right here, and this rock up along this ledge, and along this rock where this 103 is. Basically all these hard cover locations. People that are defending on Karelia assault love to sit there because they have really, really good cover, also from arty mostly, and they can shoot anyone that's peeking and poking here on this this A-line lane where this T32 and T69 are, and or that peek along these ridge lines here or here. So the reason me poking in this position back over here is not to get shots, really, because I'm going to show you why you don't have really good shots potentially here. There's this ridge line. You can see how the slope depresses back to where my position is right here. So, and it gradually rises up here. So usually you don't have a full profile view of enemy tanks sitting here. You usually only have like a turret shot or whatever, unless you crest higher up along the slope to get a better shot. And of course, in a precision shot like that, it's very unlikely that the T49 is going to make a shot like that because it's a derp gun. So I'm just peeking the corner and I'm just trying to get some intel on how the enemy team is set up in this area here, so I can decide how to progress from there. And looking at the minimap, they sent all of their tier 10s to the 1 line, right? So I want to try to expedite the situation over here as quickly as possible, because look, it's really important to not only analyze enemy team location and movement to try and anticipate where they're trying to go, but a lot of people forget that it's just not purely numbers, right, on what's going to decide a flank. Of course, it's player skill, obviously, that's the main aspect of it, But also, I'm looking here, even if we did have even numbers here, right? If it was 3 enemy tanks engaging here in the southwest against 3 of our tanks, they have tier 10 tanks here, and we have tier 8 tanks here. So already there's a disparity in the amount of HP, and there's a disparity in the armor values and potentially the DPM. So looking at that, right? You know that the enemy team is going to beat your teammates down here just because they're simply outgunned and not only just outnumbered. So that is a very, very important tool to use in trying to decide where to put yourself and how aggressive you need to be in where you are on the map currently. So now that I haven't gotten a whole lot of intel here, I'm just trying to decide where to go to from here. I spot a Panther 88 there that was hiding behind the rock. I didn't spot him before because, of course, he was on the other side of the rock from me. Now that he's looking at me, I don't really want to peek and take damage unnecessarily. And the mistake I'm about to make here is coming up here real quick. Gonna pause the game here real quick. Looking at the minimap here, look what already happened. It only took 15, 20, 25 seconds for the enemy team to win this location. And it might not seem like a whole lot of time in deciding how you're progressing, the decisions that you make in a battle, whether it takes you 10 seconds or 20 seconds. But if you're making up to 15 or 20 decisions in a battle, that all adds up in time, right? So the quicker that you can recognize the situation and the quicker that you make the correct decision, the better off you will be and the better off that your team will be. So the enemy team have already won the southwest area right here. Even though the T-34 and the E-75 are still alive, they're dead. It's only a matter of time because they're all encapsulated and surrounded. So because the enemy team have won this area here, that basically eliminates the viability of me playing in this middle ramp area. I'm gonna go into free cam here. I usually like to play into this middle ramp area here if I can, as long as my team has some sort of presence here in the southwest. But of course, they have lost that. I like using this ramp because you can get some really good vision on tanks that might be sitting along the backside of this rock right here, where the 103 was spotted. And you can potentially spot enemy arty that's sitting too far up along this ridge here. And also you can potentially spot tanks sitting here and tanks sitting here. But unfortunately, that's no longer an option for me to play in that area because the enemy team have won this. And if I try to go here, I basically will pin myself, right? I'll be in cover along these rocks here. But what are my options? If the enemy sitting up here decide to be aggressive and to push me, do I have any options? And the answer is no, because as soon as I try to leave this area and run away, all these guys back here will have shots on me. So I cannot use this position, unfortunately. So the only other option I have is to try and work this area of the map at another angle. And unfortunately, I think I decided to use the wrong angle personally. But that's just my personal opinion. So let's get out of free cam here and keep going. Really lucky there that I didn't get shot by the 103. You don't want to be predictable in any tank, of course, but especially in a scout tank because you have no armor and you have lower average HP. If you peek and stay in the same position long enough, you'll telegraph your movements and make your positioning really predictable, and enemy tanks will be prepared to shoot you before you drive around a corner. Alright, so here's the fundamental error that I made in this battle. It was going to this position here. Just like I said, it was really bad for the enemy scouts to try and push across really early and get up under here, and they would get pinned under the, what is that, the G6 or G5 ridgeline. It's the same concept here. Even though I don't have very many options in positioning, because the enemy are slowly gaining a lot of map control here. Right now they have 50% map control, where they start out with usually only about 25 to 30%. And eventually they're going to wrap around here and start putting pressure on our snipers here in G6 and in G7. So I can't play in the middle swamp area, right? But what I could have done, and what I think would have been the much better choice, was for me to retreat and get set up along here, where this Waffenträger U100 is, or potentially where this T32 is, anywhere along here, so that I can shoot these guys here that are sitting in the middle swamp area, enemy tanks that are advancing into the middle of the swamp area. Because what I've done here is I've basically pinned myself, and I cannot leave now. I cannot leave this position without taking damage, right? And in fact, I was pretty lucky that I didn't take damage going into this position from the 5100 and the 103, and even from the Panther 88, because he was looking around the corner. So now I'm stuck, and this is really bad for a scout. In any tank, of course. For a heavy tank, it's not so bad because you have more hit points and you have armor, so you can just kind of fight your way out. But for a light tank, this is really bad because I have no options now. And a scout tank is all about being flexible. That is your strength. One of your primary strengths as a tank class is you get to decide if you want to engage the enemy at all, and when and where and how you engage them. That's your strength, because you have the speed, you have the mobility, you have the view range, and you have the camo rating. Those are your strengths as a tank, and as the tank class in general. So you want to use that strength. And I'm making a really bad mistake here in pushing up, and basically, as Zevin calls when he's analyzing replays, he calls this fronting, right? You don't want to be engaging tanks that have better armor and better hit points and either better DPM or better alpha than you when you're in a light tank here like this, because you'll just trade your HP badly, and you won't be able to win this position like from this angle here. So now I'm stuck in this little cutout in this crevice here, and now I have to rely on my teammates behind me to bail me out and save me from my bad decision. I can't peek around the right side of the rock there, of course, because the 704 is there. And also, I'm making a really bad play here. I'm going to pause the game here again. I went around the south side of this rock here because I was thinking that the 103 and the 5100 were distracted by our IS-3 here, and they are. But I'm basically exposing myself to multiple angles of fire here. I wasn't paying attention here that the M4190 Tier 8 Scout was already spotted back here, right behind this large boulder right here. So as soon as I drive around here, I'm exposing myself not only to the 103 but to the M4190, and not really for that much benefit. I'm wanting to put pressure on this Panther 88, but I'm exposing myself to too many angles of fire, and I'm not getting enough benefit out of it. And nothing has changed for my teammates here, right? My teammates are still in the same position, so it's not like they're getting any better shots because of my spotting. So this is probably a really bad decision to go around on this side of the rock like this. And as we'll see here in a second, now that's just RNG, right? That I didn't hit the shot. I wanted to take the quick shot because the Panther 88 had just fired, so I knew I could shoot at him without him shooting back for a few seconds. But the Panther 88 has a pretty decent reload, so if I had just sat there and taken my time to aim, he would have been able to shoot me at least once. So I just wanted to take the snapshot. Unfortunately, we miss, but I think I just bounced a shot from the 103. And this is what I was talking about a second ago. I'm exposing myself to fire. Here, let's get rid of that. I'm exposing myself from fire from the 103 and the M4190 and the Panther 88 for one shot, right? This is really, 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 really bad thing to do. Not just in a scout tank, in any tank. This concept applies to any tank that you're playing, except for maybe Arty, of course, because they shoot indirect fire. But tank destroyers, mediums, and heavy tanks, this also applies. Exposing yourself to a crossfire like this is really bad. You're basically exchanging 3 shots for 1 shot, right? And it's just really, really, really bad. The potential damage that I could take in this position is 1 shot from the 103, which is, I don't remember the alpha, somewhere around 390, I think, somewhere 400, something like that. And then the M4190, which is 240, and the Panther 88, which is somewhere around 240, 250, something like that too. I don't remember. So I could potentially take anywhere from 800 to 900 damage here, and for what? My shot would very unlikely pin the Panther 88 unless he was sitting completely 90 degrees to me, and I got a good shot above his tracks. So I'm trading 1,000 of my own hit points for potentially 300 to 400 damage to the Panther 88, hypothetically. And this is just a really, really, really bad approach to this situation. And I do get shot there by the M4190. And I get extremely lucky that I don't pay more for my bad decision there. Going into third person there, I'm going to pause the game. It's really important when you're deciding whether or not to engage. It's really good to look and see where the enemy tank is facing here. I went into third person to peek around the rock. Let's see if I can go to free cam here. And we can see here that the object 704 is looking in my direction, but he's actually not. He's not stacking the angle very well with this Panther 88. Ideally, he would be wanting to sit right here. You always want to be working with your teammates' positioning, right? As long as their positioning is not bad and reckless or whatever. If they're in good positions, you want to be working with them so that if an enemy tank peeks a corner like this, they not only get shot by your teammate, but they also get shot by you, and they get 2 shots in for 1 shot, or however many tanks there are here. But once again, just like it was a bad idea for me to peek around here, it was also a bad idea for me to peek here, because the M4190 could potentially shoot me, and the Panther 88 can shoot me. And once again, it's unlikely that I'll pen him at this angle to make the trade worth it. And I get a really, really bad, pathetic roll of 235, and the trade in of itself, 1 shot for 1 shot, was not worth it. Fortunately, the T49 behind me supported me and killed the Panther 88, so he didn't shoot me a second time. And once again, this entire situation is about for me personally, because I'm going to pause the game here again. This entire situation that's about for me personally is because I made a really, really bad decision in going here and basically pinning myself and reducing and eliminating the options that I have. So luckily our team have been able to keep the scores even for now, surprisingly, considering how good angles the enemy have on the map currently. So basically I have to just preserve my tank and try to play the best I can in the bad situation that I'm in. And you always need to be paying attention to what your teammates are doing, of course, so you can take advantage of how the enemy team is reacting. Going to free cam here. Not really particularly, relevant to this particular battle, but just as a general concept, how you can be efficient with your HP. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday about how they need to they like to do a better job in preserving their HP. It's also something that I need to work on myself, as well as marksmanship skills. My marksmanship skills are something to be desired sometimes in battles. But one of the things that will really, really help you in your economy of your hit points, let's say it that way, is paying attention to where the enemy tanks are looking, right? And you need to be paying attention to how they're interacting, not just with you, but with your teammates. And if they're looking at your teammates and shooting at them, they're not looking at you, right? So that's a perfect opportunity for you to line up and try to get a shot. Because they can't look at you and your teammate at the same time. So that is one way that you can dramatically increase your economy of HP by taking advantage that the enemy tanks are distracted. And once again, I'm making a really, really bad trade right here because I shoot the Object 704 for 240 damage, and I'm about to take a shot from the M4190 here in the back. Once again, a really bad trade, right? Because we're assaulting, right? We have to win this. And I expose myself unnecessarily there again to the M4190, and I'm just basically playing really, really poorly here in my positioning overall. So now I'm finally getting the hint, right? It took me losing 800 of my hit points, but I'm finally realizing that I need to stop being so aggressive and reckless in how I'm peaking these angles. But I'm going to pause the game here. Fortunately, we as a team overall are doing okay because of one particular situation that just happened on across the map. What just happened after the enemy team had won this southwest corner area right here? If you are the defending team yourself and you win this area, there's really no reason at all to push up down the K line with like the majority of the tanks that are on your team. Maybe send one tank, like a scout or a medium or whatever. But after you win the J2, J1, K1, K2 area, there's absolutely no reason for you to send all the tanks that are there down the K line and wrap around up onto the donut. You only need to send 1 or 2 tanks max. The next position that you need to take here, and I'll speed up the camera speed here. The next position that you need to take is this ramp area right here along the inside of the swamp here in H5 and G6. Because what this position does is it allows you to get crossfire into my position and where this T32 is, and also it puts pressure on snipers here that are sitting where this IS-3 and this Waffenträger are sitting here. It's a really, really powerful position to take once you've won the southwest corner. Of course, oops, wrong way. Everyone likes to wrap around and come up behind because they get to kill Artie and yada yada yada. That's perfectly fine, and it's a good thing to do. But leave that for your more mobile tanks. You're more useful to your team by coming up on this middle ramp area right here, or even coming back to where your cap circle is, right? This game mode is assault, so the goal is not to necessarily win by killing all the enemy team, but the enemy team are under pressure to kill all of you or to cap, right? Which is my team. All the defending team has to do is just keep them from capping and survive to win in this game mode. So you want to force the enemy team to make a bad decision. Fortunately, what has happened over here is after the enemy team have won the southwest corner right here, they drove up this ramp here, the IS-7 and the 907 platoon, and they got clipped out by our Waffenträger. So that relieved a huge amount of pressure, side pressure, off of our team. And now it's only the E-75 here that's potentially putting side pressure on us. So that dramatically increased the chances of us winning the battle, fortunately, thanks to this Waffenträger and this IS-3, and probably the T-10 that was sitting up here before he died as well. So once again, I'm paying attention to how the enemy team is reacting to my teammates. The 103 was looking at the T32, so I had time to peek, even though I'm proxy spotted, right? Even though I'm proxy spotted by the 704, I know that there's I'm going to pause the game here again. I know that there's no other enemy tank further to the south in this position right here than this 103, so I'm only exposing myself to one potential angle of fire, which is one of the first good decisions that I've made in a while in this battle. So I was taking advantage that the 103 was paying attention to our T32 here, and I was able to get a free shot of damage into him. And now our T49 behind me is putting some really good shots into the 704, whittling him down. I think he put in a shot into him earlier, so the T69 behind me has done almost probably 750 damage to this Object 704. It's always good to check there. Once again, what I just did there is checking to see where the enemy tank is looking in third person before you decide to go around the corner and try to get a shot on him, right? I wanted to get another shot in this 103 just like I did just before, but because I'm proxy spotted by the 704, I'm perma-lit, right? So he will see if I start to drive around this corner, and I don't have the aim time to accurately place my shot on him if he's looking at me, right? So I started to peek around here, and he turned his turret and started looking at me, so I do not want to try and take the shot yet. And our Batchat already did a good job in taking out both enemy artillery. And so now we're actually up on tanks. Alright, so now I can go out and shoot the 103 again, right? Why? Once, because he just fired, of course, so he's on a reload. But two, even if he was loaded, he is looking at my T32 or the IS-3 that just died, I think is who he just killed. So he's looking in this direction. So now I have a free shot because he's reloading. So I'm using a derp gun, obviously, on the T49, so it's going to take me a little bit to aim, but that's okay because the 103's reload, I don't remember off the top of my head what it is. I think it's around 10 seconds or something like that, so I have a little bit of time to aim my shot before I need to get back into cover here. And I think it's absolutely hilarious that I can do that amount of damage to the face of a heavy tank turret like that. And now something just happened. Not only am I paying attention to the 103's reload, the enemy M4190 scout is also paying attention to my reload because he knows that I'm using the derp gun, and I have a really super long reload, 19 and a half seconds. So he knows I just fired, right? He was paying attention because this Object 704 is proxy spotting me, and he can hear when I shoot and see when I shoot if I damage one of his teammates. So he knows I just fired. So now he's trying to push in and kill me before I reload. Unfortunately, he's deciding to go around the wrong side of the rock to kill me here. He's going around the A line here. I'll go to free cam again. Fortunately, he's deciding to push me around this side of the rock right here, which is exposing him to the T49 sniper fire. And if he was paying attention at all to how the Object 704 was taking damage, he would know that someone was up here shooting. And also, I think he took a shot of damage from the T69 while he was sitting here. That's also really important when deciding which angle you want to take and attack someone, which side of a hardcover position like a house or a rock or a ridge or whatever, is be paying attention to how your teammates are taking damage in the battle. And if you are experienced enough in knowing map positions on the maps, and you know that they're taking damage, there's only a certain number of angles that they could possibly be taking damage from, right? So if they're taking damage, then you know that the enemy tanks have to be either in this location, or this location. That you do not want to go around, obviously. So that's kind of another tool that you can use for your economy of HP, as I was referring to earlier. And that will dramatically increase your survival rate in battles. Pay attention to how your teammates are taking damage from unspotted enemy tanks even. If they're getting shot, you know that there's enemy tanks in a certain sniper lane or in a certain position. So do not make the same mistake that they did, basically. So now that the M41 is knowing that I'm reloading and he's pushing me, I have to try and stay into cover as best I can from the 103 and from him. And I'm completely reliant, right? Once again, the whole thing of me going here was extremely bad because I'm pinned, right? And I am extremely reliant on my team to bail me out. Of course, this is a team game, and that's the whole point. But the point is, I have no options here. I can't run away because the 103 could potentially shoot me. The Object 704 could potentially turn around and shoot me before I could get into cover. So I'm completely reliant on this T69 to save me. And fortunately, he does. And my team was able to bail me out there. And seeing that the Object 704 is looking the other way, I get a free shot of damage in here, and now it's just cleanup. And amazingly, we were able to pull back the scores from my bad positioning and the enemy team winning the southwest flank. Kind of funny there, as I was trying to time my shot into the side of the 704, the SP1C was ramming into the side of the Object 704, I think just to keep him track, because this SP1C was using the autoloader, I think, and he was reloading, which is why he wasn't shooting the 704. And I was trying to time my shots so that the SP1C wasn't right against the 704 when I shot, because I'm using a howitzer and a lot of HE splash damage. But it's if you want to know how bad the SP1C's armor is, he took 200 and something splash damage from me, even though he wasn't directly up against the 704, and my shot didn't hit him. My shot hit the 704. So when we're talking about armor and light tanks, of course, people like to refer to the T54 lightweight or the LTTB. But for me personally, the armor on a scout tank does not matter at all, except for one aspect, and that's HE armor. If your armor is good enough to make HE rounds not consistently pen you, then that's the only armor that matters to me. Your survivability, as shown in this battle, is not dependent on that. It's dependent on your positioning in a scout. How you not take damage is using your mobility and your camo rating and your view range, not armor. So that was kind of funny that I accidentally did that much team damage to him. I was trying not to, but that's how it turned out. So hopefully you guys learned something about positioning here from this battle, and how to do it and how not to do it. In this case, from how I positioned myself on this rock and got myself pinned. It's really, really important to keep as many options available to you, not only in a scout tank, but any scout tank, or excuse me, in any tank that you're playing, to increase the crossfire angles that you can have on enemy tanks and help support your teammates. I wish you guys the best of luck on playing Karelia Assault in the future, and playing scout tanks in general. Happy hunting and take care.